Yo there, football maniacs, what's up, and welcome back to Footleaks. The man, the myth, the legend, Ronaldinho Gaucho. He could have surpassed the gods of football, Ronaldo and Messi, and become the greatest footballer of all time. But alas, he couldn't help himself. Regarded once upon a time as the greatest footballer of all time, like many other athletes, he became a victim of his success. He's won every title to be won in football, yet he currently sits rotting in a jail cell in Paraguay. This video goes into detail as to why he failed. But before we do that, be sure to drop a like, hit the subscribe button, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on any more of our awesome content in the future. Excessive partying. Born in Porto Alegre, Brazil on March 21st, 1980, he was named Ronaldo de Assis Moreira. He was born in a family of footballers. His father worked in a shipyard. Ronaldinho had such a talent that was never seen before in Brazil. No Brazilian footballer, Ronaldo, Neymar, even the captain of the Brazilian national team, Thiago Silva, is held in the same regard or standard as Ronaldinho Gaucho. In his first junior championship game, Ronaldinho scored 23 goals in a single game, announcing himself to the world at only age 13. He went on to win the FIFA Under-17 World Cup for his country in 1997. He then signed with the Brazilian Giants Grêmio in the Brazilian Domestic League, his first professional contract. He went on to sign with France Titans PSG in 2001. His skills only kept increasing and his talent overwhelmed even the mightiest of oppositions. He would run circles around players, destroying them with his magical dribbling, his passing, and his uncanny ability to find a way to either get the ball through to a striker or score a goal himself when necessary, even through impenetrable defenses. He won the FIFA World Cup in 2002 for Brazil, cementing his legacy at the age of only 22. He went on to Barcelona, which was regarded as the best era of his career. More on that later. All of the players, even the managers, complained of his excessive partying during these years. He would stay out late, consuming drugs, engaging in illicit activities, drinking, spending his money away in absurd bets, and starting fights. He'd show up to training hung over, with a bruised face, smelling of alcohol at times, sometimes even intoxicated and high. His excessive partying was not held as out of control. He's only in his early 20s. Give the guy a break. Let him have some fun. His cult following would often say as they would clamor to his support. And indeed, all the partying was not stopping him from shining very brightly and delivering legendary performances when his team needed him the most. He'll get serious when his body demands it. His fans would shout when the media condemned his excessive partying. And indeed, many thought that he would straighten his habits out when he moved to Barcelona in 2003, fulfilling his boyhood dream. Almost every footballer, starting from South America, Portugal, and Spain, dreams of playing for either Barcelona or Real Madrid, and Ronaldinho did more than just play for Barcelona. He won them the UEFA Champions League title, Barcelona's first in 14 years, in the 2005 to 2006 season. The same season, he also won them the domestic La Liga title. This year is regarded as one of the best in the club's esteemed history. Opponents had nightmares a day before playing against Ronaldinho's Barcelona. He'd wow crowds as he defeated opponents using his creativity and talent to create scoring opportunities out of thin air. He revolutionized and added the much-needed pace to the Barcelona tiki-taka style of maintaining ball possession and passing it around. He won the Ballon d'Or in 2005, 2 FIFA World's Best Player awards in 2004 and 2005. He remains the only player after Diego Maradona to receive a standing ovation from the Real Madrid crowd during the 2005-06 season El Clasico as he scored 2 goals. baffling the likes of Sergio Ramos with his speed as he quickly ran past them and shot Iker Casillas, widely regarded as the best goalkeeper of all time, didn't have time to move. However, his partying got even more outrageous during this period. With even more fame and money at his disposal, alongside the long list of accolades, his appetite only grew stronger. It seemed as if at that point, nobody could stop him. His consumption of drugs and alcohol grew alarmingly fast. He couldn't stop himself from engaging in other illicit activities, which resulted in many lawsuits from females. He kept missing practices and training sessions, and soon the team grew very tired of his antics. Manager Pep Guardiola decided to bench him for several games, which played a large hand in his inevitable and long since coming departure from the club. Despite all that he had done for the club, they parted ways after 2008 as he left for Italy to play for AC Milan. Instead of celebrating with the team or sitting with them and listening to his coaches after defeat, he'd go out in nightclubs and in the streets having a good time. The emergence of Leo Messi. Leo Messi was seen as a prodigy by many when he first arrived in Barcelona. Pep Guardiola held him in very high regard. His first goal came off a Ronaldinho assist. However, these assists would slim down with the arrival of Henry Andy To'o. Barcelona already had world-class mids as Iniesta and Xavi. Ronaldinho complemented this by his attacking style of play. However, as Messi emerged, some deemed him a younger and less scandalous version of Ronaldinho. He too wowed crowds with his speed and footwork, running alone to score goals and penetrating 3 to 4 defenders at a time with his outstanding control and speed. Pep Guardiola eventually decided that Ronaldinho was not needed as he once was. He no longer remained their only best player, as a much more committed version of him came along. It was during this time when Leo Messi began to gain high prominence and people began to compare him with his all-time greatest rival Cristiano Ronaldo. The two have fought over the Ballon d'Or for more than a decade now. Ronaldinho's once loyal fans began to lean more towards Messi now, and he quietly took a backseat to all of this. This is also something that Neymar Jr. had complained of, which eventually resulted in his transfer to PSG. Barcelona no longer remained the Barcelona of Ronaldinho. A once very prominent footballer named Alexander Kleb revealed that Ronaldinho had a very close relationship with Messi, and so did Deco. They helped him adapt his style of play and took him in. It's reported that Messi called them his guardian angels. This was when Messi's rise occurred. It's reported that the club took notice of this close relationship and immediately became protective of Leo Messi, sheltering him and keeping him away from Ronaldinho, deciding he was a bad influence on Messi. All the following factors caused Ronaldinho to abandon his childhood dream and move to AC Milan. Age. His lifestyle eventually crept up to him. He couldn't keep up the performances that fans had come to expect of him because of his early rise to fame. He had delivered and seen himself as an unstoppable force, not attending training and severely lacking in the work ethic department. His best years were behind him, and his body demanded more catering too. It demanded attention, which Ronaldinho refused to give, and eventually his body refused to cooperate. His lack of work ethic and training and dieting left his body in tatters. The fans that had once clamored for his support initially turned against him, calling him weak-minded, undisciplined, and a buck-toothed idiot. His last season in Barcelona was spent mostly warming the bench. It was plagued with injuries, most notably was the muscle tear in his right leg, which meant that he couldn't play for most of the season. His teammates thought that he considered himself to be above them. He had won everything there was to win in his time at Barcelona and no longer needed any incentive to keep himself fit. The grueling training sessions were not attended and were no longer a priority, which left him with substantial injuries after games that saw him fail miserably time after time. He was no longer the best footballer on the planet, but a disappointment to himself and his fans. However, He did later on felt that he had let his fans down, and in a letter wrote to all his fans before his departure to Milan how saddened he was that he couldn't play with Messi for a longer period and how it was very difficult for him to leave his boyhood club. But this was expected, considering his lack of care towards his physique, his appetite for drugs, and his declining age. Although many have stated that a footballer peaks at the age of 28, the likes of Ronaldo have shown what excellent work ethic can do for one's performance. He continues to deliver exceptional performances under the Italian giants Juventus at the age of 31. The likes of Frank Lampard and Ryan Giggs have also been able to achieve much of their respective sides even after their prime ages. In essence, many experts and fans believe that if Ronaldinho was able to maintain his physique and develop a substantial work ethic and realize that he could no longer party all night and work the same magic as he did before, he would well be able to keep up with rising La Liga stars and even exceed them quite easily. But Barcelona didn't give him a chance to clean up his act. At Milan, he had a good start but was injured during the 2008 to 2009 season once again and was once again played mostly from the bench. The then manager Carlo Ancelotti stated in his own words that he was expecting this. Ronaldinho's season ended with 10 goals. High demand. Even with an uncharacteristic and disappointing first season, the hype was still behind him. Even the bitterest of fans hoped to watch him play. He was still quite an extraordinary player and despite his injuries could deliver stellar performances from time to time. His position was changed from a midfielder to left mid during the 2009 to 2010 season, and this would improve his performances, scoring his first hat-trick for Milan from that position, a penalty, a goal from a corner kick, and an exceptional header. Newspapers hailed Ronaldinho the next day, singing his praises. Unfortunately, his season would end disappointingly. With the likes of Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Ricardo Kaká in the time, history was destined to repeat itself. However, the fans still cheered Ronaldinho, and fans in Brazil were eager to see him return to the home that he had left behind. No matter the number of disappointing performances, fans still loved him and knew that he was still more than capable of giving them a stellar performance. All that was needed was a decrease in the level of competition. Whenever fans would get tired of him in one country, he would shift to another where he was still popular, refusing to change his ways. He moved to Brazilian club Flamengo after a disappointing end to his tenure in Italy. There, he would entertain fans, winning Flamengo their first trophy, scoring yet another hat-trick against Santos, a game that Flamengo was thought to have lost because they were 0-3 after the first half. They won 5-3 due to Ronaldinho's performance. However, he kept shifting from club to club until even his homeland grew tired of him, and instead signed for Mexican club Querétaro. After a few years in Mexico, he went on to play futsal in India, and eventually, as he played all over the world, he eventually retired as he realized that no one had the enthusiasm of seeing him perform once again, mostly because he was no longer Ronaldinho Gaucho. Unwillingness to change his ways. During all his years playing for the plethora of clubs that he had played for, he never changed. He remained the same cocky and arrogant player. He never sat well with his teammates, who were very excited when they first met him, but eventually grew tired of him. He became addicted to his lifestyle of drugs, abuse, and partying. Many US clubs such as LA Galaxy were rumored not to sign him because of this very reason. Europe never gave him another chance because they knew he couldn't be helped. He would just not change. He already achieved everything and didn't need to prove to anyone anymore. He was the king of football in his early 20s. He refused to achieve more as he didn't need any more. He got the glory that he wanted. Despite people's best efforts, he refused to clean up his act, and this eventually cost him his legacy. A chance to become the greatest of all time. Maybe he felt he was the greatest of all time. It was always the same routine with him. He joins a club, would dominate, his appetite for partying wouldn't go away, and eventually he'd become intolerant to a club, and then eventually his own home country. This wraps up an incredibly detailed video which we hope you guys found very insightful. And if you did, do let us know by liking the video. Stick around for more amazing content, as we'll be seeing you guys in another video real soon. Until then, take care and goodbye.